done. Above average black men shining like the sun. With Chris Sr., Chris Jr., Devin on the beat, we're telling stories from the heart. Feel the pulse and the heat. Yo! Yo, step into the room, we bringing that vibe, highlighting kings and queens who thrive and survive. From the corner of the club, making dreams come true. We elevate the voices, yes, you know what we do. Chris here got the wisdom, laying down the facts. Chris Jr. with the passion, pushing us to relax. Devin brings the fire, always keeping it fresh. Together we're a force rising up from the rest.
Yo, welcome to another edition of Above Average Black Men. Yours truly, Chris Bender Sr.
Chris Jr., as always, here to empower, inspire, and uplift.
Devin Pender here to remind y'all to like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us, please. Man, it's been a while since the three of us been together, man. You know,
it has been. You know, we all life is lifing on us. But you know, it's good to kind of be back. Got the boys here at the table.
Yeah.
I mean, for another great conversation.
Yeah, man. Although it's so much to talk about. I mean, it's so many things.
This conversation might go a little bit all over the place a little bit tonight. But hopefully we can all tie it in.
I mean, the conversation is, where does that line? Where is there a line between friendship and doing the right thing? You know, I'm so close. You're my boy. So even though you're doing the wrong thing because of our friendship, I'm gonna go along with it, or I'm gonna agree with it. Where is that line, or is there a line?
I was thinking about this in so many different ways because it's like, pretty much like your friends. Sometimes they be lying to you. They do.
Sometimes they be lying.
Your friends be lying to you, either gassing you up, you know, encouraging you sometimes to do the wrong things, and they know it's wrong, you know, or just like, in other circumstances, which I'll save that for later, which probably people be lying too. But no, I don't think like sometimes friends are all the way too honest with each other in some cases. It's like friends be having a mask with each other. And you know, I don't know, to bring up what is happening or in the news with our former high school here. Is probably people, quote unquote, like friends who were part of something or seen something which they know is not the right thing. But you know, it's like that kind of group culture and mindset where nobody was able to step up and kind of do the right thing. I don't know what it is. It's like sometimes, in that sense, I guess it's the group think part, you know, where it's like people being scared to go against the grain in a group. But then also it's just like, I don't understand as a friend. Like if I saw my friend doing something, I'm like, that's nuts. Like that's great. What are you doing? Like I feel like it should be a space for you to do that. And for some reason, I do think there are some people in groups where I don't know. They I don't want to say that they bully by their friends, but they try to do something too much for their friends. There's grown people I see doing that too. Like I don't know what it is.
People just letting like this peer pressure thing,
trying to appease,
trying to fit in,
just trying to appease everybody. I'm trying to appease people.
It's definitely not age restricted.
Yeah, it's not. It's grown people. I feel like I've seen that do that as well.
One, we've lost the definition of friendship.
Some people are not your friends.
Because I hear it used all the time now. And then when you dig deeper, like sometimes they don't even know the last name of the person. You know, but that's your boy. That's, you know, you meet somebody in school because y'all got a few things in common. The only thing you know about them is you run into them on third period. That becomes your friend. I mean, I hear that used so often, even when adults, you know, they get into serious relationships and moving in together, and they barely know each other. You know, I talk to some young ladies and that's my man, that's my dude, whatever they call him nowadays. And you ask them, they couldn't ask you, does he have a middle name? You know, what's his mom's name? You know, but they think this is a relationship. So I think that word friend is thrown around so loosely now, it's thrown around so loosely that we just associate it. And then I think the other part of it is we think being loyal means selling yourself. We think being loyal means that you sacrifice yourself. And I see it more and more, you know, that people are they just so. And Devin had a great point. You did too about. I mean, people. Because you said this in previous shows. People live a life like Facebook. They want likes.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all both said it, and it's all about likes. And I think people don't stop to think, what is this going to cost me? What are going to be the repercussions? And unfortunately, because adults do it, a lot of kids mimic adults. They mimic what they see, man. Because adults teach their kids early what adults are the first experience of what a relationship looks like for their kids, good, bad, or indifferent.
One thing that you said that stands out to me that I kind of want to bring this question up, toss out to you, the idea of friendship and probably with relationships too. The term loyalty.
Yeah.
I think that gets misconstrued so much in regards to like loyalty means like some people think it's like this blind thing where you have to kind of just agree and follow everything that this person says or does. So I'm actually kind of, if it tosses up, what do you guys think of like what does loyalty mean to you guys? Because I do think again, it's a little misconstrued.
I feel like loyalty, some that have someone back as your best interest, but also isn't going to put you in a messed up situation, vice versa, to where it's not fair to any of us. I feel like that has to be a large aspect of loyalty, where it's like, I'm not going to put you in a situation that could potentially mess up your future. I hope you would do the same for me.
I mean, for me, loyalty is it's a little complicated, but in simplicity of it all, loyalty to me, man, is being committed to another person. In the sense that you're going to do the best you can to always do the right thing by that person, within an asterisk, until that person asks you to do something that's outside of the right thing to do. And then at that point, you have to become loyal to yourself. Somebody asks you to do something that's detrimental to you, it's going to put you in harm's way, get you locked up. You got to cut it off. I think at some point, the loyalty has to stop and say, okay, we cool and all that, but I just can't do that. And if that person has the same amount of loyalty for you, they would understand.
And that's just like it's levels to loyalty, I guess, in a sense. That's what I was trying to get at or even think about, because there are people who live and die by it, literally. They go into jail. They suffer just like this blind, unwavering loyalty. And I think there are a lot of people who kind of don't even understand what that really is, like how it definitely goes both ways. I think that's a key part of it. Is like I think a lot of people look at it as just this one way thing, like you just being loyal to me, and like I'm just being receptive of that. Versus where it's like it's a two-way street. Like, you want loyalty, you gotta be willing to give that too. I mean, and the respect. I think that's a big part of that, because I don't think a lot of times people kind of take that into consideration with the idea of loyalty too. Some people think that you can be loyal and then be disrespectful to people, and that's supposed to be just maintained.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, you probably see it in marriages and relationships where people the way they talk to each other. It's like, man, like I know you want to get away, and rightfully so. But I think it's like this idea of because this person y'all been together for quite some time, or because you have a title that it's this unwavering loyalty that almost you don't even have to work at. I think that's another thing too that's interesting. Like loyalty is also something that I think is constantly worked at and worked upon. You know what I mean? I think it is like it's something that you should constantly be wanting to prove oneself that you're either worthy of it, giving it, or receiving it. I think that's another thing too. That kind of needs to be talked about or discussed. It gets lost when in this idea of just friendships and loyalty. Like you see way too many people get in trouble on it. Like just thinking about kids. I feel like we talk about kids quite often here because that's something we have a passion for. Thinking about the times like they just do dumb stuff because it's like but I think code or faith to loyalty that they have this false meaning and understanding of it.
But I think it goes back to what I said. I think it all starts because the definitions is skewed.
Everything's like that.
If you don't understand friendship, what you being loyal to, it's almost like I use this example. You in a relationship, right? And you giving everything you have, and that person just sucking you dry. There's only one person in that relationship. That's you. The other person just taking you for what they can, man. And I think at some point we have to realize that, and you said it, everybody's not your friend. At some point we have to realize that you can be associates with somebody, and not allow them to get into the friendship line. And I think we have to get back to teaching our kids that. I think what happens is because the kids grow up isolated, because of video games and stuff like that. But the first time you put them with other people, but they think they have something in common with, they think this is a solid relationship. Yeah, and yet you don't know, you barely know. Like I said, I've sat down with a couple of men who didn't know each other, and they got to this relationship, they moved in together, and then you start to unpack the dirt. You got to find out the traumas the other person has, and you go through all these different things. But now you're in this relationship, and depending upon how much you value yourself, depending upon how long you stay, because some people, again, they're more loyal to other people than they are to themselves.
Yeah, you see that too. That's a whole another kind of deep-seated, rooted thing. And people, maybe even a whole nother discussion in the show. You need to get some help. For real.
Yeah, but I mean, and I agree. But then again, it goes back to people think they don't need a therapist.
I don't know. It's still like a mixed bag with that. You hear a lot of people talking about it now, but how many people are actually doing it? That's a whole
Well, it's almost cool. It is. It's almost cool to have a therapist. It is. It's almost cool. But you still have certain people who they don't do the therapist thing. I've had people say it to me. Nah, man, I ain't crazy. Ain't nothing wrong with me. And I'm telling myself, well, you just don't know. But I think that's part of it, because people care more now about, put it this way, I've seen it more now than I've ever seen it before. People worry about what people think about it. It's all about, what is somebody going to say about me? What are they going to think? How am I going to be viewed? And that drives the decision-making process. And as we get to drawing a line, there's some people who just feel like this is the only place I fit in. No matter how bad it is, but I fit in here. Or they talk, it's like somebody who's in a domestic violence situation. And I've dealt with people in this situation. No matter how bad it is, they think that's love. They think that's normal. They think that they should be bent over backwards to please somebody, even though the person don't act like they care about them. They think that's what they're supposed to do. And some norms are hard, very hard to overcome. When people say they think craziness is normal, you're crazy for not being crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you think the circumstances surrounding an upbringing is the norm until you break out of that and see and experience otherwise.
And see, this is why I struggle at, because I found myself in two nice discussions around this. I get it that you may have been brought up a certain way. I do. I understand it. But to me, once you've been exposed to the right way to do things, once you've been exposed to realize that your thing is not the norm thing, now you got a choice. Do I continue on this path, or do I change? And I think some people get so comfortable on that other path that they don't want to deal with change. I had somebody tell me, at least I know what my misery is now. If I try something new, I won't know. So they stayed with the person. They would get to the misery they were in.
What's the term? Like sleep with the devil you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably like a representation of a lot of things. We are in this state of just people want comfort all the time.
Yeah, they do.
They do not want things that are difficult to deal with, which life don't work like that. Anything that is worth having will be challenging and hard to deal with. But whether that's a job, or a woman, or a man, whoever you know.
That goes back to our past topics, though, where we said stuff like that. People get coddled, participation trophies, things like that. People don't, have hardships like that growing up anymore, because someone's always going to intervene, step in.
Mm-hmm. I got into a funny conversation with a female about participation trophies. They hated it too. But let's go back. And it's funny because I was talking to Jonas last night, and I say this to you all the time. We were talking about being a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's like, yeah, well, you public speaking and everything. I said, well, it's different. I said, yeah, it can be nerve wracking, but the difference is, if I make somebody laugh, it's accidental. I don't have to make them laugh for 15 minutes. You know what I mean? I don't have to. I can say stuff what I'm talking about and get a chuckle or something, And if I don't get a chuckle, it's not the end of the day because I'm not there to get a chuckle. But when they know, you're there to make me laugh, and then you do that. But see, I say that because that's the perfect knowledge of what you just said. The person who goes up there and takes that chance and continues to go up there and put themselves in, they want it badly. Versus the person that want to be a comedian, but they never leave the front row. But they critique everybody. You should say this, you should say this. It's like, like athletics. We say this all. I remember when after every game in school, in college, somebody would come to me and say, I would do this, I would do that. They didn't even make the team. But they always had something they would, you should do this, you should have did this, you should have did that.
That's at every level.
But that's my point. There's always only people like
that. Do that with NBA guys right now.
Oh, you want to That's my point. There's always going to be somebody. Who's going to look at you and look for the flaws. The problem is now, though, we think that's our friends. And that's different. There's a big difference if somebody says, hey, look, we need to fix this, so let's correct it, versus somebody just landing on your flaws. I think, and you talked about true friendship takes courage. It does take courage. Mm-hmm. Because you got to be able to receive criticism or critiques, whatever you want to put it. And two, you got to be able to be honest and transparent. And that's hard. That's hard. And then, because I say that, because in three, you should be able to think independently. Just because you're my friend does not mean you're supposed to go along with everything I say. And this is where it gets skewed. And we're talking about the Shelton piece thing. And I'll say it because, the more I hear, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The number of people who probably knew is crazy. It's crazy. When you start to hear the number of people who possibly knew this was going on or the curve.
Found out who did it. It was a petition to have him not get the job at first.
Well, apparently, but see, this is the crazy thing about it. Because apparently, and I'm not going to go too deep in it, he was accused of having that type of culture at Abington. Just you got, I heard. So he came with the back, but he was connected.
Where they put it over there? Then I love that. Put it on the rival high school. It ain't us.
But he was connected.
Nonsense.
I'm saying, but he was connected. He was connected. He knew the right people, and they put him in a position. But see, this goes back to sometimes being blinded by your friendship. We could be cool, but if you got flaws, you got flaws.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a guy that I really liked a lot, and he used to work for me. I had to find him. And it was hard, but it was a question of, what message am I sending to everybody, knowing he did the wrong thing, knowing that, this is the punishment fits the crime, versus I keep him for the sake of the friendship. Now, one of my staff not going to respect me now, because they don't know people. How you going to get on me about that? You let your boy go. Because everybody knew it was my boy. I think, two, what message am I sending him? That I'm giving you a free pass to do whatever you want to do? Right or wrong. And then the third thing to myself, we all, I think, I'm not gonna say we all, I know we do, and people in our circle, we worry about our reputation. You know what I mean? We want to be credible people.
A lot of people do,
yeah, but I know not everybody. I was about to say everybody. I had to correct myself.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to the definition of friendship. Your friends, I look at it this way. I got friends, since I've known Skinny got first grade. Real smart group, but we're friends. We wouldn't let each other do stupid stuff. We always held each other accountable. We could not talk. And both of y'all got friends like this. We don't have to talk every day to have that kind of relationship. Because we see each other, it's like, you pick up where you left off. But now, you don't hear many people talk like that in current relationships. You more hear of, or I hear when I'm talking to people, you're my friend if. If you were my friend, you would. I hear a lot of that. And that's not friendship. But if you don't know what it is, and it works.
And people do that in relationships too.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I just think, and if you go back, if we look at Shelton now, to me, I think also it's a people lack of individualism. Because I can't see how, if I'm with my friends and we grew up, right? Or if I got on my team, my coach, and we supposed to have a good relationship, ain't no way somebody's going to, there's no way that somebody's going to talk me into doing something wrong or go along with, you know what I mean? to go on something that I know is morally wrong.
Yeah.
Especially what they were doing.
Right.
But yet, they did. And you know, then it's worse because allegedly, when the young man told the coach, the coach he told the coach in the car, and the coach dropped him off at home and didn't say a word.
Said, "Don't tell your mom."
So, but to me, I still can't believe how adults got together and figured out this was okay. Even the person who sent the text message, you know, like, how do you think this is okay? So, but this goes back to show when I said there's no age restriction on it, bro. There's no age restriction, man. People want to fit in at any age. And sometimes it's because of some other trauma or something happened earlier. Maybe they were nervous in school and they never got a chance to fit in.
It's a lot.
They got a chance to be part. There's a lot of things that people, you know, do differently when they become adults. You know, so I can't understand it. But even the part that nobody's talking about is the amount of individuals who watch it. That part to me is mind-boggling, man. And maybe I see friendship and teammate. Maybe I overestimate that. But they were your teammate. They were your teammate.
And then even that kid ain't had no friends on the team. Like nobody that was going to stop him. Like,
well, apparently he did, but they the one really good friend he had left. He had left. But still, that's your team. I've been on teams with people I may not have been crazy about, but that's my team.
Yeah,
I wouldn't let nobody jump on me. We wouldn't let stuff like that. Nah. And people say, "Oh, they were in the locker room by themselves." I couldn't tell you other than my coach giving me a pep talk, and I know it's different how often they were in there when we were in there, or stayed the whole time.
I know.
On game day, they were probably like halftime. They did before the game and halftime, after the game, but like practice. They weren't in. They weren't in the locker room, man. I mean, because I think that speaks volume to this time that you got to watch these kids, man.
This is actually like I was even thinking about that because I was coaching high school basketball, and I'm thinking about like, do we have to put somebody in the locker room now?
Yeah, now you do.
Need to have the assistant coach stand in the locker room to monitor the kids. Like,
But I will say this. But that also speaks to the culture of the team. I've never played for a coach who I didn't have that much respect for that I would blatantly break the rules. No. Now, maybe because I wanted to play and I didn't want a participation trophy, maybe because I wanted to play. But I played for hard coaches, and I would say at the time I didn't think they were fair, but they were tough. But it wasn't afraid of them, but I wanted to play. And I knew the standard that they set forth, and I knew the consequences of dividing character standards. I wasn't playing. You know, I've seen the best player on the team get sent home or get benched. You know, so I think that's part of it. Part of it is that people want to fit in so bad, and people, when you got said, they want people to like them, man. So they go along with this stuff. And I hate to say it, but you almost got to go back to teaching what friendship is, what character is, what integrity is. You got to almost go back to the basics and teach these kids that, man, because they don't know what that means. I had some college students tell me one time, talked to two young ladies in college, and they told me good and bad is all relative.
I'm not Mr. Rogers.
You laugh, but you probably need to.
But
The more you talk to people, like even here,
there was deep philosophical.
They just because they think I had somebody tell me it was only bad if you get caught. You know, talking to a
We're going to jail now.
I was talking to a middle school kid, right? And there's this book out, and somebody may have heard of it, Most Deaf or something like that. It's about a book that if you write whoever name she writes in the book, the girl owns the book, they die.
Oh, the Death Note.
The Death Note, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was talking to her, so I said, "Well, don't you think that's too much power for one person?" She said, "No." I said, "Well, let me give you a perfect example. You ever get mad at your friend and get really yeah?" I said, "You probably would have put her name in the book, and now she's dead. She can't come back." She was like, "Oh well." Shouldn't have been mad. But
is this a book right here?
She was the sweetest girl, but that's kind of the philosophy people have now. And I bet the other girl thinking, that's my girlfriend, that's my best friend. No, I mean, she never do this. She's like, oh well, she just ain't coming back. But I think this is where we are. I think it goes back to what does friendship actually mean to people? Because it's different. It's different. And your mom said to me, she says, oh well, the school didn't change until after Devin left. I said, no, that's not true. And I likened it to the sports team. Somebody watching me have a problem with it. But I said, you saw the different behaviors in the sports team. All of a sudden, they were cussing out the coaches, talking back to the coaches, still get to play.
You can see the mother people out there.
That's what I'm saying. You saw the difference. So I said, no, it was there when Devin was there. I said, it kept changing. So that was kind of, but that was the beginning of the shift. You know, and I think one of the message you send to people in that situation is that winning is mostly important. Like even now.
That's what happened in this situation here.
That football team, no.
Football. What's what they want? 2-3 games? So what are you protecting? What are you protecting?
It's supposed to be kids first.
I mean, I think the last time they were relevant when Gore was there. I think he took them to the state championship or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's when they
went to districts.
No, they went further than that one year. I don't know whether Gore was with somebody else. They went a little further than that one year.
Interesting. Okay.
They did. They went further than that one. But just saying, yeah.
They might not have a football team.
Yeah, no.
We got a football team.
It's going to be
$1 million in that field.
It's going to be.
And that's the field. It's going to be. Well, they got 7 girls team. They got.
I was about to say girls thing.
Yeah, they got Phil Hockey's in that.
Ultimate frisbee.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's it. Friendship. Look at TV. How many times have you seen something on TV? I'm a big TV watcher, and somebody's supposed to be their friend. They pull out a gun and shoot him because somebody paid them. Somebody give him money. Yeah. Yeah. But I think But I think unfortunately we're in a time, man, where like point us, how many positive relationships that you think these kids see? You know, I know I've had it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I haven't heard people talking about being an individual. They dress alike, they act alike, one person laugh at something, it can be the dumbest thing, they all laugh at it. It's like it's almost like and it's funny because they used to say it about the city, because the city with the uniforms and everything, and they had the metal detectors and stuff. We train them up to go to jail. We train them up to be drones. And it's ironic because it's stuff out here.
Yeah.
And they don't have all that.
Yeah. I mean, even just think about it, the idea of people having just this uniformity with everything, like everybody buying into the same stuff all the time. I mean, it's in social media, everything's a trend. You know what I mean? It's like, see this trend, you follow this trend, you try to stay on that trend. And you got a few people here and there that are like that. But for the most part, everybody is following the trends. That's just how the world that we live in is bleeding into everything. From how people dress, from what people do, from where people want to go. Like, I seen something about that too, where it's like before, you used to have to be thoughtful about planning trips and doing things that you're actually interested in. But everybody just goes online and looks for somebody that already booked the trip and telling them about the experience that they had. Right. Versus you experiencing it yourself and determining whether or not you enjoy that, regardless of what somebody is saying or telling you.
But I think that's also a part of a misunderstanding in friendship, or the definition of friendship, because I've sat down with a group of kids who didn't like another particular group of kids. And more than half the group had no idea why. They just did it because the other half of the group did. Or because they had beef with 2 people in the group, they just go, why you don't like them? And they don't like someone, they don't get along. Oh, because that's my boy. So I think even then, friendship, it's like false loyalty. And I'm putting on my MHS hat for a second, my psych classes that I took. Because I think a lot of it has to do with people not being the firm. I think a lot of it do with people, similar with the Facebook attitude. They want the likes, and they get them by going along what they think is popular. I know this is wrong, but I want to be in this. I don't want to be ostracized from this group. I want to be in this group.
Yes. Yeah. I think that happened again in this situation in that locker room, Like the idea, like, maybe that could be me. Like, let me just chill. Right. So I don't know. It is a very challenging time right now. Always historically, everybody's like, oh, this is like no other time in history. But I think uniquely, like, this probably is definitely going to be one for the ages, especially when they talk about how just with education declining, this generation not being one of the first to, we're actually one of the first to not be smarter than the previous.
In my time, I'll be 65. I'll be 65 this year. So in all my life, I would have to say this is just there's three things about what's happening right now that I think that's crazy and pivotal. One, we're going back. We live in a time now where people like Mackenzie or kids coming up in that age bracket, if we don't change things, man, they're gonna be coming from a rough time. I think two, I think people lack the sense of community. You know, we laugh because there was a time when you walked anywhere in Philadelphia, people at least nodded their head. What's up, fam? They would always talk to you.
We need to get out of here, get that compound.
Yeah, well, wherever you go, people will say it. So that's gone now.
Maybe
Now,
some underground.
Like the 19 people they talk, like the 19 whatever people that watched it, they for some reason they were able to detach them from the situation. Now I heard some things about the kid. I'm not gonna get into that, but nobody deserved that. Nobody. And I think the final piece is, what are parents passing down? That's the question, man. What are parents passing down to these kids, man?
Sometimes I'll say like you just think these kids probably easily influenced. I think definitely what are the parents passing down, but I do think like some of these kids just easily influenced.
I don't mean the parent is teaching them bad things, but what
I'm
saying is they're not. A lot of parents are not. Certain qualities of these kids, man. They let these kids kind of be groomed and shaped by what's going on in the world, by social media. Yeah, the trends, and I think that's the problem because it's almost like when you look at a page or something, and all of a sudden you start getting this stuff. Like it's funny because your mom and I we shit, because I guess we on the same phone plan and stuff. And if she uses my email, she'll look at something. I know she look at because the algorithm shows up on my phone. So she look at furniture or jewelry, whatever. I start to get bombarded with. And I think that's what's happening in life, man. People are picking up on other people's algorithms, man, and they figuring out what to do. And people are, because of those things you talked about, are being manipulated. They fall in line. And this is where parenting come in. And I know some people are going to argue, yeah, sometimes you can do everything right. But a lot of kids I deal with, they're missing an instructional part from their parent. The parent can be there buying stuff and doing stuff, but there's not a lot of right and wrong talk. There's not a lot about character integrity. Even when there's a lot of threatening sometimes. If you do them a kid, but it's not sitting down saying like, hey, this is what it takes. This is what a man looks like. This is what manhood looks. Manhood doesn't look, you don't laugh at people being hurt and think it's funny and film it. That's not a definition of a man. This whole sense of you got to be cool in front of everything else is not manhood. And I think especially in our community, African American community, we see it more and more, the detachment. That, even in two-parent homes, because the teaching aspect of character, integrity, friendship, loyalty, it's not there. And a lot of kids, when you talk to them, it's not because they don't understand. And that's why I think a lot of them make friends so easy.
I don't even think these are terms that are probably even spoken about for these type of levels of regards anymore. Yeah, it's certain things that I just feel like we don't talk about or probably even teach, like the characters and qualities, I guess, of someone that should be them. Yeah. I don't even think that conversation is being had like that.
Well, I don't.
They just letting it. I mean, only time you probably hear it is like if you know that person's a terrible kid.
But it's not even being modeled. And I say that. Your mom and I were talking about the Nolan Wells thing. We were talking about that. And we were saying how, we got to know Mr. Kirk before we could say Nicole, go on a trip, with them. We got to know Mr. Dana before. I know him a long time before we said, hey, take my kid to school, look out for my kid, or, you can do stuff with them. But not only looking out for them, but we model what that relationship looked like, what relationship we had. Because I looked out for their kid. We did things, and I think that's missing too now because a lot of these parents don't know other parents. They don't know. I'm doing middle school kids who outside 2:00. What you doing outside 2:00 in the morning? And you fall asleep when you come to school. Why are you outside 2:00 in the morning? Yeah. My friends and I, we out there playing this or playing that 2:00 in the morning.
What, in the summer? Or just
no, school. I'm talking about school. Like they come to school the next morning, sleepy, can't stay awake, man.
In the summer, I do too. Right.
Yeah, you ain't know the big telling them 2:00 in the morning. But it's just. But again, I think that line between friendship, man, and I think people don't know this. So the line is just it's kind of swerving. It's all over the place, and people just crossing it, going back and forth. And I go back to the shelter and I think 6 kids' lives are probably ruined. Because they got by the grand jury, their picture up there and everything. So and four grown men, you know, and their families.
Did it ever come out like why they did it?
The kids?
Yeah.
Allegedly. This is allegedly. Allegedly. I have no proof. It was just two people shared something and they said the kid that they did it was kind of annoying sometimes.
That's what to say.
Yeah, he was kind of annoying sometimes.
No, but why they do it too? That's what
But that's what I'm saying, because he was kind of annoying. I guess that was their way of getting.
I mean, when 19
and they went that far.
19 people don't help, you know, something's wrong. So I don't like them, but I'm not going to stop this.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Even if I didn't like them, nobody deserves that. And to me, if I'm a coach,
nobody deserves that.
If I'm a coach,
for real.
If I'm a coach, and I find out you're in that locker room, you're not playing. You're not playing.
You have a whole new team. You're gonna bring
if I'm a college coach, and I'm recruiting you, you're not beating my team. You had to come up with something pretty good to explain to me why you still violate that happen. Or you filmed it.
That girl from softball team out here.
It's, you know, so I think, and again, social media aspect, because somebody filmed it. Which this is the other aspect for people who know about it. If you know they film everything in this day and age, you know that. So you had to know it was going to get out. You know they film, man. They film everything.
They sent it out. They probably
no, but I'm saying if I'm an adult and I heard about it, I know somebody filmed it. I know somebody filmed it too. That alone should make you, you know. And then what made it worse was allegedly, you know, don't know again allegedly, you had them perform their own investigation. So that's like me robbing the bank, and the cops come and say, "Hey, you robbed the bank. If you don't want $1 million in your backseat, oh, I found it. Well, I tell you what, I need you to go out and find out who robbed the bank for, so I can come back and let us know." That is exactly like that.
Thank you, sir.
Huh?
I said, help us figure out how you did it.
And then I'm gonna come back and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna come back." Oh, well, of course I'm gonna come back and say, "Well, I'm completely innocent." So I think, but again, it goes back to and loyalty. Where does our loyalty stop? Start and stop. Because all adults or whoever may ever, they obviously their loyalty was to somebody else that had them be quiet or whatever. And it's interesting because somebody had a good point that maybe they thought they were helping the kid because they didn't want him to get out or something like that. You know, there's different angles. You know, but again, I go back to what I said. I have very little trust that somebody's not filming stuff all the time.
How you not helping? How you helping a kid by not telling his parents? I think you're helping yourself, trying to protect yourself and your job, especially when it was already probably rumblings of like people didn't want you there because of the culture.
But people were trying to find a reason, and I think it's human nature, whether it's wrong or right, to try to get some kind of justification in their head of how this happened. I think people were hoping, because I think most people, not all people, most people think that people are just good in everybody. They do. You know, there are some people think always good and evil, but most people think there's good in everybody. And I don't think anybody wants to admit or acknowledge that somebody's in your presence, that somebody who's watching out for your kids could have that kind of evil, purposeful, evil intent. So I don't think anybody wants, especially anybody who's hired them or worked with them or recommended them or whatever. You know, and again, there's some people like that, but then we talk about there's some people who take advantage of it. Or they use up the trust.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, where do we go from here with the Shelton thing? It's just.
Well, to me, I think Cheltenham is just a microcosm of what's happening all around the world. I think we just know about it because we live this close. Like, for instance, and I know people will get upset when I say this, I think it was purposely called hazing, the lighten the blow. That was a full-fledged assault.
Yeah, I was saying
I think people use the term hazing
because there's kids involved.
Yeah.
No,
when I was in college, and I'm not saying some frats don't go too far, but hazing was when you put a jock strap on somebody's head. You know what I mean? When you put hot sauce,
bring this here, do this,
hazing, man. You know, and I know some frats used to pattern.
Yeah,
I still think it's crossed my mind, but you know, but we were laughing.
You beating people up.
We were laughing.
It's a whole different thing.
I'm gonna tell a story. You don't know until I was like a biscuit away from playing. I was actually, as a matter of fact, I still know the 5 baby signatures. You know, we can go on with Big Brother. I'm sorry, guys.
You can't say it. You're gonna get in trouble.
Well, I'm not one.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're gonna come right at you.
But anyway,
we saw you dancing.
no, it wasn't dancing. But I never forget. I never forget that when we were online, I didn't want to. I did it because my roommate, this little dude like 4'2", was smacking everybody.
You know, power trip.
He was smacking it. I mean, he was smacking from Jamaica. He was, and it gets to me, and he must have saw a look on my face. You're going, you smack me, dude. I'm smacking you back. This is going too far, man. And what I say that because they say, oh, you do this, your line brothers are going to get you because I said, let me tell you something. I got real brothers. That all I got is got a call, and they will be here. But I never forget that moment. It was like, yo, and it wasn't for me to begin with, but and then some, and I knew they weren't. If he said something, they wouldn't have because we were all cool and tight. But just the point that the little dude would go that far on some power trip and think he had that much command over everybody else that he just met because he came from another school versus people that I spent almost the whole school year with.
And somebody, it was like in Miami at the HBCU recently where these dudes just lost their jobs. They had good government jobs too, like these black guys. I'm not sure if the person may have died during that, but they went too far with the hazing,
But I think at some point you gotta stop saying hazing, and at some point you gotta say, okay,
this is assault.
And because now everybody says, okay, well they want to stop hazing, they want to make hazing illegal. So now I can't make you carry my bag. No, I'm just saying. So
I understand.
It opens up this whole floodgate of what, and at some
point
it
needs to be a distinct, like just kind of line drawn on what it even is. I think it's going way too far. Yeah. Like you said, it went from paddling, and I think what happened is over time, people was like, oh, I remember I got paddled. I'm gonna get the next guy, and then it just kept getting passed down. Like, I'm gonna get the next guy. I'm gonna get the next guy. And then it's just been like generations of people just beating the crap out of each other.
But I can tell from
calling it hazing.
Because being in that world, like people add on different things to like, oh, this happened to me, but what if we could just add this on?
Yeah.
Just to have a false
because some people allow their own personal experiences to get involved in. My grandma
community projects. Guys.
My grandma used to say this to me all the time. She said, you know what? It's funny because the reason why people have power trips, they've never been in power before, and they don't have any authority anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So if you put them in that place, they have it, and they abuse it. To me, you should never be in a position where someone else's safety or well-being is in jeopardy, and you think that's okay. I don't. To me, no team is just not worth it because, like you said, those guys lost their jobs, man. In this situation right here, everybody knows who these coaches are, so they could possibly lose their jobs, and who's going to hire them after that? Because once people find out about you get hired, there's always somebody who goes, I can't believe you hired them. So I just think it just, and the damage, and this could be generational damage because they got kids, their kids got exposed to this.
Okay, I was even thinking about that. I wonder if they got kids that's like in the school.
Yeah, one of them, the coach, they said one of them, the coach's kid's son, was on the team. But everybody in the school, and the one thing about Cheltenham is, there aren't many secrets. When something happens, man, don't tell nobody. Go down the lane very quickly, and typically it becomes a community like this. This has become a community thing. Now, my thing is, as we look to the closure, I think how you respond is key because one, kids are watching, generation are watching, and I think two, you've broken the trust with adults, with most adults in the community. Absolutely in the community. So that needs to be fair. I think three, but the community also is time for the community to unify. All this piping and like people need to be fired. Because I asked them, that's why you do okay. If you don't change the system, what is firing people? Now people do need to change, but if you don't change the system, because the system failed. The system failed them. And you may need to put some new adults in there. I'm not disagreeing and I said that's like I have a race car. My race car keeps coming last because I don't get enough horsepower at the engine. Me shifting drivers don't fix anything. The car's still gonna be in last because I didn't, So until you also fix the system, it's nothing's gonna change. So you gotta look at it not emotionally, but how do I fix the system and ensure it doesn't happen to another kid? Because all this getting on Facebook and grandstand and people want to get this person fired, which by the way, some of the light skinned folk, you don't see any pictures of them. They didn't get named. It's kind of ironic.
People do both.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic. And they were quick to put the two young men up there who turned 18. They were quick to put their pictures up there. So so but the point I'm making is this is the time where community need to come together and figure out what's the solution. How do we not allow this? How do we stop this from happening? And it may mean, and I'm not voting one way or the other, it may mean people got to be changed out. And I do understand it. If that's the case, if somebody all the way at the top knew and did nothing about it, you got to do what you got to do. I'm totally okay with that. But it can't just be that. It's like the Republicans, Democrats.
He's probably just
thing.
making an example of these kids too. Like.
Yeah, but the Republicans, Democrats do the same thing. What's the plan? We just need to take the office back. Okay, what's the plan? We just need to get the office back. Okay, what's the plan? we just need to take control again. And then take control and we get the same thing. Because they're not fixing the system. We just gotta get the power back.
That's all it's about.
Yeah, we gotta get the power back. We want to be able to say that Republicans and Democrats, we rule. Okay, well, what's going to be different? Then everybody looks at each other.
Could be a different person.
Then everybody looks at each other. Or, without saying names, you said it, the person runs on the premise that I'm going to be community-minded, I'm going to be grassroots-minded, I'm not going to get involved in the insider trade and all this stuff. They get in there, they become millionaires, they take on the same thing everybody else.
Lobbyists, all of it, taking our money.
But we turn around and we vote for the same people, though. We vote for the same people. And it goes back to what I said before. I'd rather deal with the misery I know.
Get in there.
I'd rather deal with the people
the good ones.
You want to be what?
Sound like you see you take some of that money. But anyway.
The good ones.
No, but I think, and this is what
a water center, not a data center.
This is where friendship, those topics need to be discussed. Man. You got to get back to the basics, man. Because these kids, I'm not defending them, and you said it also, they don't know what that means. You know, they don't know what that means, man. It's like the person that gets bullied by a certain group of people, but they keep hanging out with them. They don't be playing. They like me.
There's always groups like that.
Yeah, it is. That's the shit. That's the sad part about it.
That's their role in the group is
to be pummeled.
Yeah.
I don't want that role. I'll pass on that role, man. I'd rather be a tree in the play than
they probably don't even realize they just like, the guys, we all joke with each other. They all joke about you.
But I think when it comes down to one, low self-esteem. I think some people get in those situations, and I can't speak to all of them. A lot of kids I deal with, they don't see the value in themselves. So kind of like, at least I'm a part of something is the attitude they have. At least I'm a part of something. I think the second thing is, schools don't teach that anymore. Schools not teaching these kids to be individual,
critical,
or even character. What does character mean? What does it mean to have integrity? And I get this part. People says, well, you got to be careful because of parents. But then you know what? Then this is the part where you have to expel kids. I'm being honest. If you got a kid that just keep blatantly breaking the rules and you're trying to have a conversation and mom or dad refuses to, you got to expel them. They got to go to another school.
I had a joke, and I think I'm going to save it for on stage because I have a solution for this. I think it is. But it is that the parents sometimes are part of the problem.
Yeah, little Johnny broke every rule in the building, and you want to know why the teacher said something. I've seen it. Or, perfect example, had a kid in my program in the 5th grade. Take one of those giant plastic sandwich bags, put over another kid's head. Luckily, he did it while people were around. So I'm talking to him, so then we get the mom involved. And the mom's first question is, well, what did y'all do to the other boy? You mean the boy he tried to suffocate? He didn't do anything. Well, he's trying to get something. But, well, y'all just picking on my son. That's her response. That was her response, though. Not just some put a bag on the other kid's head who thought they were friends and let the boy do it because he thought they were playing around. But you want him punished. And you think we're picking on your son because we called your son out for what he did. So what do you think is going to happen to that kid when this is a 5th grader. What do you think is going to happen to him when he gets 16, 17 years old? At the rate of things is going right now with his mom.
Bagging somebody else's head.
So then when I said, hey, where did you get it from? Nowhere. I said, dude, you got it from somewhere. Either you got it from social media, TV, or you got it from somewhere else. I said, so where did you get it from? He looked at me. He said, in my house. So I said, don't even tell me who did it. I said, he said, don't. But apparently somebody's house thought it was funny and they did it. So he figured he gonna do it. So we talking to the mom about, this is a serious thing. And the mom is like, well, what's the other kid? Happened to the other kid?
He almost died.
Well, I told you one where the parent got up there and got up on the desk, sending her kid around the after school program, look for people to fight. And so to me, that's crazy. But you know what? It's ludicrous. But then,
Abbott Elementary don't show that.
No, but this goes to what I'm talking about. And somebody's gonna watch this and I can care less. So I suspended them. The lady, somebody in the district overturned it.
Gonna be anarchy everywhere.
One girl had left the building, was home, went in the car with her dad. Another girl who was getting involved in the fight called her. Her dad brought her back to the school. Her mom met them at the school. They had nothing to do with it. I just had nothing to do with it.
I just saw this story. This deputy commissioner of like some police station somewhere. Her son is in a gang. Had a court hearing. He went there on a gun charge. Saw somebody else in the gang. Opposing to him, tried to shoot at him outside the court. Mom and dad helped him drive away. So now they both going to jail.
I'm running a parenting program. Right? I'm running a parenting program.
He was 20. They are stupid.
So I'm talking to this lady, and she's talking about her 11-year-old son like that's her man. So finally I said, you gotta stop telling me. You gotta stop telling me the man in the house. Well, I mean he's not. He's 11. You don't have a job. He can't protect you. He's not the man in the house. She said, well, what's wrong? I said, let me explain to you. First of all, when he becomes 16, 17, 6'6", 12, he ain't gonna be listening to you.
12 or 13.
He ain't gonna listen to you. Because she be in the bathroom on the phone. He come in there. First of all, he got the business coming in the bathroom. Who you talking to? She at the door. He goes to the door. He talking to. So then he decides, because then one day she comes in, he decides not to do the class assignment because he felt like it was something he didn't have to do. So meanwhile, she's complaining about his dad a little bit every day. So I said, you turn him into the same guy you complaining about. He's doing the same thing. You've been complaining about his dad every week. You doing the same thing with this dude.
And that's actually, I said that before. These women raising the guys to hate.
But hold on, it gets worse. I said, let me ask you a question. Jokingly, you can't be one of them moms where your son is caught on national TV looking right at the camera commit the crime, and you say he didn't do it. See, yeah, I would. So at that point, what do you say? There's nothing I can say there after that.
Really,
when you sit there and say you can watch your son, do commit a crime, everybody see on TV, and you will give him an hour. Yeah, you got it. Right. You may not remember this. And remember when they had the Discord in Baltimore, the riots and everything? Well, there was a mom who was watching it on the news, and she saw her son, her teenage son. So she went down there and kicked his butt. She kicked his butt, grabbed him by the collar, and took him home. People try to get DHS to press charges against her for child abuse.
Can't even raise your kids no more.
But he down there, Chris, in a riot where they shooting cops, looting and throwing stuff, and she went down there and she tore him up, grabbed him. Yeah. But the thing about it, they were more focused on the fact that she probably saved his life than the fact that she hit him.
We need more beatings. Bring beatings.
Well, we can't say that, but
spankings.
We can't say that, man. That's considered abuse. Physical education. There you go. I like that term. Physical education. Not gym.
That used to be gym.
But yeah, so I just think it's interesting that
physically reprimanded.
We're at this point. But getting back is going to be a generational thing, man. It's not going to get back overnight. But I think, first of all, and I say this, I think schools become an anomaly because kids can pretty much do what they want to do and not get in trouble until they graduate high school and get locked up.
Or don't even make it out of the high school locker room.
Yeah.
And get locked up.
Yeah, and it's sad. And I feel bad. I feel bad for them, man, because they're 18 years old. Your life is just beginning, man. And you got to deal with this at 18. This is what you got to deal with now.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, man. Good show. I want
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you guys for staying tuned with us, rocking with us every week. So definitely like, follow, subscribe, share, so definitely line, interact.
Yeah.